Thank you.
I hadn't had that charger over 105 yet.
I
might try that.
Sorry,
I'm thinking.
I'm driving up.
Sure you didn't have it on kilometers?
Well, I suggest when you head back that way,
I'm not gonna
that you back her down.
because I'm gonna tell you something. I was a lucky boy.
Yeah, you're not gonna get lucky like that
No.
twice.
Okay, folks, it's 7 o'clock. If everyone would please stand, we will have our pledge of allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I want to remember all our North Carolinians and the people on the coast with the flooding that's going on. So remember them at our moment of silence, please, and keep them in your thoughts and prayers. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. At this time, I will now call the meeting to order. It's a pleasure to have with us tonight, each and every one of you here. We have our attorneys, Mr. Donny Law's wife with us, and we want to welcome her, and we're glad to see her here with us. Is there any additions and deletions to the agenda? We have a deletion of number 8. Ryan Cody, he will not be here tonight.
No, you are there.
Ross Young, I am sorry. Sorry, Ryan.
He's still on Central Time.
Yeah, believe me, people, I had to drive quite a ways today to get here, so, but I'm glad I made it. We will delete number 9. Ross is not here. Ryan is here. We will also.
Are we still gonna take up his personnel matter and it's not completely deleted?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We will move the personnel matter into closed session for that. We also have 11F, which will be personnel. We have 12G, which will be Spring Creek Fire Department. I think you have a memo in front of you for 12G. Any other items? Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda with the items which we just changed and discussed?
So moved.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Gentry, second by Commissioner Rice on the agenda. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, likewise. Motion passed. Thank you. Second item on the agenda will be the approval of September 13th, 2016 minutes and September 29th, 2016 minutes. You have those in your book, and we have looked over them and reviewed them. Is there any additions, changes, or anything to the agenda? I mean, to the minutes, I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
I just want to draw y'all's attention to page 2 on section 6 regarding the teacher supplement. If you look at the 3rd paragraph, this just affirms the decision y'all made. The exact wording of the motion was to authorize $78,262 for teacher supplements, but this makes clear where it was coming from.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think that was part of our discussion in that work session. Okay. Any other changes to the minutes of September 13th and 29th? Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of September 13th and September 29th?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a motion to approve the minutes of September 13th, 2019 by Commissioner Wechtel, second by Commissioner Rice. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion is passed. Public comment number 3. No one has signed up for public comment. I hate that. I wanted to hear something tonight from somebody here. But thank you anyway.
I think they're trying to tell us.
They're trying to tell us that.
Speed it up.
Speed it up a little. We do the best we can to furnish you with the information and let you know and keep up with what we are doing and what we are trying to do. That way we don't come in here and vote on something and you leave scratching your head wondering what we voted on. Chris Watson.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Evening.
I'm not Chris Watson.
Okay.
I didn't think you were. I'm trying to.
To reintroduce myself to you all, I'm Christopher Brown. I'm the Executive Director of Community Housing Coalition. We have Chris Watson here also. We also have Annie Jaredot, who's CHC's volunteer coordinator. And out in the audience, we have Katie Hart, who's our administrative assistant. We all came here tonight just to, as you have in your packets, to give you a brief update, but also to express our gratitude for the continued support of the commissioners. The $3,000 that you gave our organization last budget is extremely useful, along with all the other donations and support that we get. CHC, just quickly, I know you all are very familiar with CHC, but just tell you a little bit about our focus for the last 12 months and a little bit beyond. But they'll give you some of the details, but CHC is all about keeping Madison County folks in Madison County homes. We believe that the way to do that is to maintain the housing stock of Madison County. We do that through a few different programs. One, which we partner with you with, the Home Investment Partnership grant, which we apply for every year, along with the Urgent Repair Fund. Chris Watson will tell you a little bit about the difference in those two. But one of the programs that we're super excited about that has been really successful over the past year is Neighbors Helping Neighbors. That's where once a month we have a Saturday work day. We provide technical leadership, we provide group leadership, we provide all the tools and the materials, and we go out and work on a Madison County neighbor's home. We engage with the Madison County neighbor, we get them to get involved in the repair, whatever their abilities allow them to do. And we also engage with other folks who are interested in helping, but maybe don't have the skills. So we feel like it's a really great activity to happen in Madison County that has just this natural culture of taking care of your neighbor and more of a barn raising mentality of helping your neighbor with repairs. We've done that for a little over a year now. And in this past year, as you'll see on here, we had over 27 clients get involved in their own home repairs for their neighbors. So we're pretty proud about that. So again, thank you very much. The partnership with Madison County is important, whether it's with the commissioner body or with Jamie calling us up, telling us about a septic tank that needs instant repairs, or Buddy calling us, telling us that a woman needs a ramp instead of being carried into her home, or Stephanie calling us about a new single mom who has a really dangerous housing situation. Our partnerships are what allow us to keep doing this work. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Thanks for what you do. Thank you.
Hi guys, hi everyone. I'm Maney Jaredot. I'm the volunteer coordinator for Community Housing Coalition, and I wanted to let you guys know a little bit about our summer and the economic impact we had and the clients we serve. We had over 714 visiting volunteers come from as far away as Minnesota and as close as Marshall University that came out and helped our neighbors in Madison County. They provided $178,500 in volunteer economic activity for this county. That was buying food, fuel, recreation, and of course, their stay here. average investment per client was around $4,400. So we added some numbers up and we got $206,470 spent in Madison County this summer alone. So I think that's pretty awesome. And we were able to help 35 neighbors in Madison County this summer with these groups. And 8 new roofs were put on. And I find that very exciting and very, enlightening as a Madison County native and someone from here that struggled with housing. I also want to talk a little bit about Neighbors Helping Neighbors. Chris touched on that a little bit. We have 2 work days left this year, and I'd love to see some of you guys out there. It's a very good program. I actually got started with CHC. I read a paper in the paper where they were calling for volunteers, and I was doing my Change the World project with Marcel University. So I started helping them during that time, and they helped me with my own housing crisis. And I was just very excited and very enlightened, very empowered by that process to see what they did. And I did my senior internship with them, and now I'm an employee. So
Oh, that's
that just
great.
goes to show you how they're helping us.
That's good.
Each other. And the 2 Neighbors Helping Neighbors work days we have left, we have one this Saturday, 10 to 3. So y'all can contact me if you'd like to come. And the next one is November the 12th. And these are from 10 to 3. All you gotta do is bring your work boots, willing to work, and a bag of lunch.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, good to see you all again. Wanted to just give you an update. It's in your packet where we are with the funding that we partner with Madison County for, the Home Funds, Home Partnership Program. With the 2014, we've got about $14,000 remaining that's going to be spent putting a roof and doing some bathroom modifications for an elderly couple in Hot Springs. That grant, we estimated 3 to 4 houses, so we're going to end up serving about 7 homes. So it's really successful, really helping out mostly elderly and disabled folks here in the county. It's being spread out. You can see Hot Springs, Marshall, Mars Hill. We've got the $53,000 that we just got under contract in July, and we've already done 1 roof, and we've got septics and wells. And with the drought we're having, a lot of folks, especially elderly families that have been on springs for so long, now their springs are going dry, and they don't have sources of water, so we're doing some wells, we're doing some septics. We've also, the Regional Housing Consortium has just put up, I think, another $500,000 to be reallocated. It was the application we went through last year to get the $53,000. We're gonna talk to Heather, who's our contact at the city, and we're gonna go ahead and apply for that. That grant is due at the end of this month, so I'll be coming back in November and asking you all to approve that grant. That grant application. That application would need to be approved next month, so that on December 7th we can go to the consortium meeting and see what we get allocated. Hopefully get some more funds coming in. Those funds take, we get them allocated, but it still takes quite a few months before we get that money. So getting that later this year will help us not have a funding gap. You can see on our impact update, we also have the urgent repair funds through the state. Home funding is a grant that allows us to go in and do a full rehab on a house. We can spend about as much money as we need to, spend $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 if we have to. But they're slow coming. We can't use it. Takes about a month from the time we identify a client to be able to use those funds. Urgent repair funds, someone can call me first thing in the morning and say, my water's out, and I can call and have a plumber at their house that afternoon, or my heat's out. And that's our urgent repair, but it's limited to $8,000 per home for the life of that home. So we don't, it limits what we can do. But with the $100,000, we've spent almost the last funding cycle, the URP 15 down. We matched $97,000 in other funds. It's volunteer labor, that's donated materials, that's partner agencies like Community Action Opportunities and Independent Living. So we really stretch those funds. We'll go in and we'll do a roof. Independent Living will do a bathroom. French Broad Baptist will do a wheelchair ramp. And it's a way to really bring the community together and bring all the resources to bear and stretch those was $8,000. And, it really helps us here in the winter when folks run out of heat, their systems break down, we can get out there and run them. So that's another great program. It's really successful and really appreciate all y'all's support with that. So, if anyone has any questions,
Thank you for what you do.
Appreciate it.
we'll see you next month.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. Thanks, gang.
We've got one of these microphones. Let's take just a second, see if we can figure out how to do it.
Mine's already on.
I don't think it's yours. I don't think yours is.
Just turn this one off.
Try it and see.
I think it's the one standing over there. I think when they stand over there, it's vibrating the floor.
Okay.
Okay. Chris?
Well, we'll be brief because I know you got a big docket ahead tonight. Basically, I'm here to get, request the approval of a resolution. It's to the Community Foundation of Western North Carolina, for the funding in the amount of $910. And these funds are earmarked for the Barnard Park. And after discussing it with, the county manager and myself, we have decided that money should be spent on a concrete picnic table. There's one down there that's kind of small. I'd like to put another one down there. That's the full size. And I checked online and, they run about $900 to $1,000. So that would probably take care of all that money. We get this grant, I think, every year. I think this is the biggest it's been in a while. But, again, it's $910, so we'll take it, go get it to us.
We need to notify notify them who our county manager is now.
Be good with me.
All right.
Any questions that I can
Any
answer?
more discussion? Chris? Okay.
Thank you, Chris.
Is that good?
And Barnard Park is, just for the people sitting here, has been a lot of updates and a lot of things have been done down there. It's great. It's, benefits the county, benefits the rafting. So if someone wants to ride the river, they can go to Barnard Park, put in, or go down and have a picnic.
Two nice concrete ramps were put in. Sarah, I know, helped tremendously in that. It's a nice park.
We're proud of it. We hope we can do more of that and maintain it and keep it up and keep it looking good. Thank you, Chris. Okay. Wait just a second. Before you leave, we'll need to vote on this. Do I hear a motion to approve the resolution requesting the $910 in funding from the Community Foundation of Western North Carolina?
So moved.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Wexler for the $910 funding from the Community Foundation of Western North Carolina, second by Commissioner Gentry. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, like. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks.
Thanks, Chris.
Tammy, Cody.
Good evening.
How are you doing?
I'd like to bring forward tonight the proposal to hire a part-time environmental health specialist. We have a part-time position in our current budget, and we have found a person who has 20 years' experience in a previous county. He's fully qualified and certified in both on-site and food and lodging. He would come to work for us at 24 hours per week with no benefits. You have his resume and application in your packet.
So this would put us at, how many?
We would have our supervisor, we would have one full-time person, one part-time, and this would be our second part-time to run the entire county.
And where do we stand on percentage-wise with inspections? I know we've been climbing out of a little bit of a hole there because of staffing.
We have with our food and lodging, I want to say we're around 50% inspections right now, so we are still not where we need to be with that.
This will help us with that.
greatly.
Yeah, he's fully qualified.
When would you anticipate that we will be at 80%?
If we hire this additional person by end of the year, I would anticipate we could be in the 90s.
Oh, that's good.
Excellent.
That's great. That's great.
I was
Okay, any more
pointing out,
discussion?
This is a lot of work by Tammy reallocating some money in her department for the first position, full-time position. For years, we've been a training ground and we've lost people within 10 or 12 months each time. And we've gotten that up to a more competitive level. Same in this case. My point is, you see how it's paid for this year, and that's lapsed salaries. Ordinarily, I really don't like doing that because it doesn't solve the salary issue for the coming year. But given the priority that this has been and that extra 4692, I think we can make that a priority for next year's budget and figure it out. But I just never want to let lapsed salary slide without explaining.
Okay.
But I do feel that this would be a wonderful expense for the county due to the fact that he's fully qualified. And this will not be someone that we will invest our money in training and then them leave and go to another county.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Any more discussion for Tammy on this? Do I hear a motion to approve Tammy Cody's recommendation?
So,
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Rice, second by Commissioner Gentry for the approval of the hiring of Benjamin Morrell as a part-time environmental health specialist. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, likewise. Motion passes. Miss Melanie Moore.
Tonight, I'm here to Madison County Public Library propose to apply for the NC Cardinal Migration Grant for the 2017-2018 fiscal year. The NC Cardinal is a growing consortium of the North Carolina Public Libraries with the goal of sharing resources and expanding opportunities through using a single online catalog. So essentially what it is that we would be sharing our online catalog with other libraries in the consortium. And so, for example, Buncombe County is a part of the NC Cardinal. If you look on your papers, there is a pretty red map, and that map is all of the current NC Cardinal libraries. And you can see we are surrounded by a sea of red. So by doing this, it would open our abilities to have access to more materials for our patrons. In addition, it would be a huge cost savings to the county if we were accepted. It is a grant. There's no matching. So it is a wonderful opportunity. Currently, we use for our LS system TLC, and it costs us $17,500. If we were accepted to NC Cardinal, the library would save an estimated $13,395 because the current NC Cardinal would be $4,105. The best thing is the first 2 years, it's free. So it would be a wonderful opportunity, but more importantly, it'd be a great opportunity for our patrons because on a weekly basis, I get questions from the public asking when can we go to NC Cardinal, because it really allows them to have access to over like 5 million materials versus our catalog, which has about 74,000 items in it. So it's a great opportunity. Do you have any questions for me?
The savings on that, so the first 2 years are free. After that, how much is it?
$4,105.
Okay, so that's the 4,105. Okay, and so then, and we're currently, we currently pay $17,500 per year. Wow, that is a big savings. Very good.
And that's not just like an online catalog. It is our mark records. I mean, it's a lot more than just.
And are we sharing anything besides what we have on in our online catalog? We're not sharing personal information about our patrons or anything, correct?
Very good question. So no, that would be protected under the NC General Statute 125.
Okay. Just wanted to be sure about that. Thank you.
Okay.
However, just to clarify, our patrons could go to like Buncombe County or other libraries and check out their materials. And their customers could come to us as well. So it's just, we're sharing our collection.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Will you have trips to the other libraries, maybe with patrons from the county? Is that?
Yeah, other patrons could go to different libraries if they're in the NC Cardinal, yes.
Mhm.
And I know a lot of them are excited about that because obviously Buncombe has more materials than us.
Do you have to return your materials back to the library you got it from, or can I get it from Buncombe and turn it into you?
You have to return it back to where you check it out.
Very good. Hey, my daughter's, my daughter, she's
I
a
know,
bookworm,
it's a good
so, and she
question.
loves.
It is a good question.
That's good. Okay, any more questions? Discussion. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay. I have a motion by Commissioner Wakefield, second by Commissioner Gentry. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, likewise. Okay, motion passed.
And I have one more. Are we doing personnel?
Yeah.
Okay.
We will.
All right, so my second item is the Madison County Public Libraries recommend Laura Molina for the vacant substitute circulation assistant position. This position has been vacant for several months now. It's been very difficult to find a person who would like to work on Saturdays. But she does stand out. She's actually a volunteer at the library currently. She's a Mars Hill Bonner Scholar, and I think she would make a fantastic substitute circulation assistant at the library.
She's moving to the area. I noticed her application says she lives in Arnett County.
She's a Mars Hill University. She's a sophomore. So we'd only have her about 2 years, but we normally don't have people last that long with that substitute.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Do I hear a motion to approve the hiring of Laura Molina for
So
the
moved.
library?
So moved.
I have a motion by Commissioner Gentry, second by Commissioner Rice for the hiring of Laura Molina for the library position. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, likewise.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mr. Ryan, Cody.
I had to cut you out of the picture.
I'm sorry.
Good evening. Good to see each one of you, and I appreciate you taking the time to let me speak. Be brief. Have a few items that I want to update each one of you on. The first one being our broadband survey.
Yes.
You should have in your packet some maps that I provided. It took a little longer than we expected. We had to do a lot of manual entry. Sarah took the brunt of that with the manual entry. There was a little over 2,500 results in the survey, and so in doing that, we had to go through for our mapping process and manually correct some of the addresses, add some of the addresses in, things like that. But you have before you 3 maps. One map shows the area that have broadband service. One shows the map, the people that responded that don't have any broadband or internet service. And then the other one shows those who responded and said they have it, but the service was not good.
Will you,
Liability. So-
excuse me, Ryan, will you tell us the map with the purple dots?
Purple dots or blue dots, that is those who responded and said that they had service.
They do have
They
service.
do have service.
Okay.
The map with the red dots are those who do not have any service.
Okay.
And that could be from a number of factors, whether it's just lack of availability in the area or cost.
I say, because if you overlap those maps, see,
And your last map will be one that has all of those together. The map with the yellow dots is that those who said reliability issues, going in and out, things like that, very slow speeds. And that's around 60% of those who responded and said they had service. So, and then the last map has all of them combined, so you can see the total number of respondents that we got. Roughly there on the map. It was a very good turnout. I was extremely pleased. I'm deeply appreciative to our library system for the help that they gave us, the French Broad Electric, who mailed out individual surveys in each bill throughout the county, and all the other partners who distributed them, county department heads and people who were gracious enough to do that. It was a very good effort, and now we just take some next steps. So we're currently working with Land and Sky and through the state IT office to have a provider meeting, and then try to find some potential funding sources so that we can get this off the ground and take those next steps and get adequate service to our homeless community.
Yeah, one of the things that's obvious is this, that it is not just concentrated in the 3 towns.
No.
That this is a huge scatter here.
It is, and it's yeah, I was extremely pleased with how the results came across the county as well. So we got, I felt like a good response from each area. Do you have any other questions regarding that?
Well, Ryan, I want to thank you because this, with our economic development, this is something that goes hand in hand with that. And this is something that I have stressed over the last few months that I want to see happen in our county. And I hope we can get this done. I hope it looks like we're on the right track, and I appreciate your hard work in getting it this fall.
Yeah, I'm encouraged by what we're seeing. So I hope that this time next year we can say we've taken that next step and making better progress.
That was a question I had, as far as the next steps, because I've heard this for years, the same, no offense, the same story. And it's about the same place tonight as it was when I first started hearing about it. So I guess my point is, how do we make sure that in the next 5 years that or next 3 years or even sooner, that we actually have an action plan to really get this done?
That's a very good question. One of the biggest things is, a lot of other counties who have made progress, we'd say we're in the right place at the right time, but they had taken these steps that we had taken. They had the survey, they had the maps, they had the provider meetings, which is our next step. And so when they had a provider who stepped up and said, yes, we would like to take that step and put fiber throughout your county or wireless throughout your county, they were in position to say, here's where we need it, and also in position to take steps to find funding. For us, that's one of the things that we've been doing, meeting with Land and Sky. I met with Sarah, and we've been looking at different grant options, different things that we can try to find that will help us work with those offset costs. There's not any stimulus funds out there and things like that some counties were fortunate to get years ago. But there's going to be opportunities, and if we can help offset some of those initial capital costs for companies, then I think the recurring revenues would be able to pay off the continued build out in our county. So to directly answer your question is, we're in a position now that we can start developing an action plan, find who those providers are, and then start getting commitments from those providers to actually put fiber, wireless, whatever we need, high-speed internet. Thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you, man.
The next thing I want to mention to you is an upcoming coding boot camp. It's going to take place hopefully starting Monday night. It'll be held at Marshall University 2 nights a week there in their new day hall facility. They've been kind enough to let us use this facility on 2 nights to host this coding boot camp. Just to give you a brief about what the coding is, in basic terms, it is software development language. These people will learn how to write programs and develop different software programs. It could be an app that you'd have on your phone. It might be a computer program that you would use. It could be accounting software, any number of things that it could be. And what they'll do is they'll bring these people in and they will take them through the steps from start to finish of how to write that program. So when they leave there, they can go to work in any number of places that require software development. One of the interesting things about this is we've had one of our local companies who, in the process of doing their manufacturing and developing some of their own equipment, has expressed interest in having some of their engineers learn this software development language and coding so that they can write the programs for their own equipment that they're selling and shipping everywhere else. So not only is this in a technological field, computers and IT, but we're also seeing it in advanced manufacturing as well. But I wanted to give you an update on that. We were able to secure, it does cost, we were able to secure about a 50% reduction in cost. The normal cost is around $5,000 per person to take this AV course. We were able to get that down because we are a tech hire community and we're designated down to $2,375. Cost is still a factor for a number of people. That's for 8 weeks. That is a good bit of change. But the opportunities and the cost that the job skills that they'll develop. Most of your IT professionals are making $60,000 to $75,000 a year in this area, and upwards of $100,000 in other metropolitan areas. So the way the cost and benefits there. We've had 13 applicants for this so far. We're hoping that we'll get those people to follow through with final signups as well. And again, it's a next step as part of that. We'll continue to do these. Hopefully we can find some other funding sources to provide some scholarships. But, if you know anybody that's interested or see anybody, let them know that this is taking place and they can stay in touch with myself or Sarah about that. And I do want to thank Sarah for that. She has worked very hard on this tech hire initiative and everything that's went into that. And she's also working on a regional partnership through the Mountain Area Workforce Development as part of that as well. So,
Is there a minimum number that we have to have?
we have to have 5.
Okay.
We
Is there a maximum number?
No, there's no
Okay.
cap. I think they would probably be overwhelmed if they had 25, 30 people, just because you're not going to be able to get that attention that they can do with some of the details. But yeah, they do want a minimum of 5 before they run it. So we're hopeful we'll see that come through.
Okay.
Any other questions about that? And the final one is this coming Monday here at AB Tech, we're going to be hosting a small business expo. And this is just a resource for anybody that has a small business or is thinking about starting a small business. We're going to be partnering with the Carolina Small Business Development Fund, which is formerly known as the Support Center. They went through a branding change during our process of meeting and setting this up. AB Tech, the SBC, and the SBTDC are all partners in this. They'll all be coming down here. We've reached out to some of our local financial institutions as well. And what we're going to do is allow people just to drop through. And if they want to talk about different funding options, capital investments, things like that for their business, or if they just want to talk about how they need to develop a business plan, those resources will be made available to them that day. It'll be from 4 to 7, so I'd encourage each one of you to stop by if you can. If you know somebody that might be interested in that, please let them know to come by. We'd love to have them drop in and talk to us.
Thank you. Appreciate the information.
And the final one, I don't have it on the agenda, and I'll mention it briefly, and maybe we'll get a better opportunity. I intended probably to present it tonight, but we have launched today our economic development website. It went live, so investinmadison.com, and if you get a chance sometime to check that out. Over the next month or two, we'll probably have to work a few kinks out, things that we see once it is up and running, but very grateful for your support in that and opportunity to get that up and running and kind of keep ourselves on the map when it comes to it.
And that's investinmadison.com.
Investinmadison.com.
Okay, very good.
Ryan, do you have any comments you'd like to make about the permit data and development trends that you provided us?
Not specifically, just that it's continued to be an extremely busy year on the development side. We saw our permits, probably the busiest year we've had permit-wise since 2007. I'd say, I told somebody this yesterday, I would safely say from our county perspective, we have pulled out of the recession when it comes to home building. Now, as far as new developments, things like that, we have not. We're not seeing the new developments, but the current developments we have and existing lots, we're starting to see a lot of people build out. I'm encouraged by that, but it's also on a cycle. So, we'll wait it out the next 2 years and see if we understand. But overall, our level of development activities increased quite a bit this year.
Thank you.
Did Rodney get back to you today?
And we deleted number 9. Our attorney, Mr. Laws.
Well, that's not New England, we're all right.
Chairman Brigman, thank you for recognizing my lovely wife sitting in the back. Sometimes she wanted to come tonight. She wondered if I was actually really getting home that late. I told her I really was. She could come tonight and see us in action.
I think it's pretty safe that there's no way you'd ever do better than that. So.
We're usually finished by about 9.
Members, I think you have a package that I handed out to you earlier this afternoon, or before the meeting started, regarding your tax foreclosure status update. And as usual, I think it's informative for me to go over that with you and explain what is on the update, and then if you have any questions, you can ask me. We've set it up in the first section of it would be new files that were referred to me by Laurie, the tax collector. And there are 4 such files. And the first 2 on there, you will know, are 2 developers, or development property, I guess in the north end of the county, which are fairly big delinquent tax deals. Those are going to require some research by me before we can actually start that foreclosure. If you talk about developments, as usual, you start out with a large parcel of land and then you sell lots off of it. So you've got the lots that are sold, the lots that are maintained. And then usually there's an undeveloped portion of it that is also taxed at a lower rate. And I believe in these 2, there's some issues there as the lots were developed, whether or not that acreage was removed from the other section. So there may be some dual billing on that. So Laurie has found those issues, and the paragraph after that listing is sort of a summary of the issues that exist regarding those 4 new referrals. You will see attached to the update a complaint that has been filed regarding tax collections. Now, several of you have some questions of me earlier on regarding what the procedure was for doing a tax foreclosure. Last month, we told you that there would be some sales that were scheduled for September the 21st, and I think some of you were involved in that and saw how that process worked, and the notice, the upset bid period. So I think that was informative. What I have here, and I wanted to share this one with you so that you would have an opportunity to see the amount of work that your tax office has to put in order to initiate one of these foreclosures on a development or a large piece of land. This is our largest delinquent account that we've had in the office for a large, long period of time. We've talked about this particular account at least over the past year. The outstanding arrearage on this account presently is $281,000. So I think it is something that we do need to talk about and we do need to collect. If you look at the first page of the complaint, that will list as your defendants who are also involved in this. When you file a complaint, not only do you have to file it against the landowner or the developer, you have to file it against every lien holder, every judgment lien holder that is involved and actually serve those. So for this particular taxpayer, you've got the owner, which is a developer. You've got a party who has a lien on the property under a mortgage or a deed of trust. In fact, there are 3 such deeds of trust on this particular piece of property. You also have a homeowners association that has a lien on it for unpaid dues. Got the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality. As the property was developed, they did not comply with everything they were supposed to do. A lawsuit was filed to collect fines over the state. So there is a judgment against this property to the tune of $130,000 together with interest on it. And then finally, you've got the United States Department of Treasury Internal Revenue Service. As lots were sold off, taxes were not paid, IRS filed a notice of federal tax lien. Now, the good thing, we have #1 lien. You know, it's called a super lien. As long as we notify all of these parties and we go through the appropriate steps, once the property is sold, we get the money. If there's anything left, then they can fight over it. So, you know, those are all the parties that have to be made a party to this transaction. They have to be notified. They're entitled to file an answer. If you go through this, you will see there are in excess of 60 different pieces of property that make up this particular development. The lots are identified. They have to have a separate tax card. And, you know, that's essentially what is sold to try to collect these taxes. We probably won't get to sell this one next week or even next month. We'll serve all of these people. We'll start the process. And hopefully at the very end of it, we will collect a large amount of the taxes that are owed on this particular piece of property. So, like I said, this is the largest account that we have outstanding. And, you know, take your time, look through this. Let Laurie know that she's doing a good job on it. But you know, we've got this. What I want you to know is the largest account that we have outstanding is now in collection.
Okay.
Okay. An update regarding the sale that we had last month.
Okay.
Of course, there were 9 properties that were sold. The first one, the Bowling property, the upset bid period is expired. High bidder has made arrangements to do that closing. We expect the full amount of the taxes to be paid. That's $15,409. The next one, Chambliss, again, the upset bid period is expired. Those lands that were sold there was very little interest at the sale. However, the sale price will generate some money toward the taxes. We'll not pay the entire bill on that. We determined that we would rather have the amount of money applied toward taxes rather than having this piece of property back in our inventory and therefore not being able to sell it.
Plus, I think it's important to note that that puts it back on the tax
It
rolls.
sure does.
So now we'll be getting the tax money from the new owner.
Items 3 and 4, those were 2 smaller tracts of land that we did not have any interest in, and the county took those back. Item 5 was a failed development in the Punch and Fork area. The county bid in on that. We've got those lots back, so we will have that in inventory for Sarah to work on in her surplus property file. Number 6, the Searcy lot. The upset bid period actually expired on that yesterday. The bid was sufficient to pay the full amount of the taxes on that in the amount of $7,516. Hopefully I'll show that as payment in next month's report. The next lot, again, was a small lot that we had no interest in, small bid. The county took that one back. And then the last 2, Bailey Branch, that's still in the upset bid process, but the county upset that, and then we had a subsequent bid in, and that bid will be sufficient to pay the full amount of the taxes on that tract of land. Bend of Ivy, your last one. You'll be glad to know that we filed an upset bid on that. I think Mr. Gentry wanted to do that and put forth an amount on that, and everyone agreed with it. We bid $20,000. We did have an upset bid.
That's great.
For $25,000 on that. So that's a $5,000 over and above what we expected. We'll get a very good amount of our taxes paid on that. Probably not the full amount, but substantial more than we expected. And then finally, what you'll see is tax amounts that were collected from last month. We had 3 accounts that were paid in full at various stages of collection. Bill, $8,456, Frisbee, $8,726, Para, $5,352. And then on the large payment agreement that we've been monitoring, we had the monthly payment made on that of $26,000. So we have $49,000 of total collection since last month. So, you know, we're on track. Okay, let's just, you know, we're where we need to be. We're in a good place. We're not where we want to be, you know, down the road, but we're making steady progress toward that. Okay, any questions?
Keep chipping away, brother.
Thank you.
Thank you, Donny.
Chipping away.
Thank you, Warren.
Now, you'll see in the next section, supposed to talk to you about the library lease, and Forrest talked to me about that this afternoon, and I left the office file on my desk, but Melanie was so happy to go over and pick up her copy of it. So what I will have for each of you is a draft of the lease that we've talked about with the Friends of Hot Spring to lease the property, hopefully that they will be closing on in early November, correct? Ma'am?
November 2nd.
November the 2nd. I got two, if you need to. Yes, sir. And as you know, we are, well, we're not in the lease. We had a lease for the present library, but we're still making payments on that. And, you know, hopefully we'll move into this new facility. We'll continue the lease payments. So what we have here is the draft that's been going back and forth between my office and Melanie's office to try, and she's going to the Friends of Hot Springs Library, and we're trying to get the P's and Q's in line on it. So what you have here is a draft, and I will go over the essential elements of it. Okay. Of course, you know what property it is that we want to lease. The term of the lease is a proposed 5-year period starting the lease in January of 2017. There is a provision in here to renew that lease at our option for an additional 5-year term if we need to. The amount of the rent will be $900 a month. We are allowed to terminate the lease, so can the other party. We'll pay for utilities, okay? Taxes, it will be in their name. They will need to pay their taxes, but they can make an application for exempt status. They will have to go through that process. The maintenance of the building will be their responsibility. Heating, major repairs, anything along those lines. What we do not have in here is a provision addressing the insurance on it. What we would hope to do in there, the insurance is expensive for a homeowner or for a landowner to acquire. With the county, we have a blanket policy. So we can add a building to that and it be minimal cost. So I spoke with Mr. Gilliam earlier this afternoon, and we are going to try to add our leasehold interest to that policy. We're going to inquire into that. So for the time being, the lease does not mandate that we are required to carry insurance. We can address that term once if you would just give us the discretion to execute a lease in whatever term is in the best interest of the county regarding the insurance. So I think what we're asking for is you to approve the term, to approve the amount that is paid for the lease, and then as to other forms and terms of it, to give that in the discretion of the county manager to add those terms. Because hopefully we will be executing this lease before your next meeting.
Is that property in a floodplain down there? I assume it is.
And everything in hospital. I'm sure it is.
So we will have to require flood insurance.
That's one of the reasons that it would be much cheaper for us.
Okay. Understood. I wondered if that's what you were getting at. So very good.
When does the lease on the current library?
About a year and a half ago.
Yeah, we don't have.
So we're on a month to month?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
we don't have, they've not signed it.
We are on a month to month. We've been on a month to month with them for some period of time.
So there won't be no double paying.
That's right. We'll give them notice of the termination of the lease, and that is only a 30-day notice.
Thank you.
Okay,
Excellent.
that's good.
So I guess what we will need for this is a motion and direction to approve the terms of the lease with form to be in the discretion of your county manager, and we can have him sign the lease. That would be meet with your approval.
Acceptable.
Just, there might be 1 month of overlapping rent, just for the, that's it.
Chairman, I will make such a motion as recommended by our attorney.
I'll second that emotion.
Got a motion?
A motion.
Well, you've been listening to on those road trips, brother.
I tell you. We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Gentry. I second it. All those in favor of this draft and this rate. Motion approved.
Thank you, Donny.
Thank
You want to
you.
kill that mic over there and see if that is the one that's being mischievous?
We apologize for this mess that we have in here tonight.
We don't know what the problem is.
Let's just everybody turn them off and see if that helps.
Turn them all off, and then you can turn them back on one by one if you want to.
No, it's not Donnie's. Cool, maybe it is.
No.
No, it's just where he's moving it now.
Yeah. All right.
It's your zone, man.
That's back home.
Your zone.
All right, we're good.
Maybe not. Everybody's on?
Try and see.
No problem. Okay.
Good evening. I have, first thing is the 2017 holiday schedule. This is based on the state's holiday schedule for your approval for next year, so we can go ahead and get that out to people so they know which dates. That includes 3 days at Christmas, 2 days at Thanksgiving, and then the typical 1 days for 3-day weekends throughout the year for New Year's, MLK Day, Good Friday, Memorial Day, Independence Day, Labor Day, and Veterans Day.
Okay. This is the same as we've had in the past.
It is just different days of the week.
Any more discussion for the 2017 calendar?
Does that require a motion?
Yes.
Yes.
Do I hear a motion for the 2000?
So,
I have a motion by Commissioner Rice,
second.
second by Commissioner Gentry for our 2017 holiday schedule. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, likewise.
And I apologize for the phone, but I'm monitoring a family health situation, so.
Okay, the next item is an update on surplus property. Met about 2 weeks ago. You know, we talked about multiple times surplus properties that we own here. And this is a list we have tried on a couple of those that we have handled before, talked about before. We've shown a couple of things. I added up over the last year. We ended up showing several buildings multiple times that we own. There are a couple of categories, and you'll see the spreadsheet, and I apologize for it being fairly small. I will also email it to you so you can look at it in that way. Sarah Nichols has put this together. It's just the basic information about each parcel that we have that has been discussed. That first group there is mostly small lots that have been acquired through tax foreclosures. And the previous discussion had been once, and this does not include any of the properties that Mr. Laws just mentioned, as that inventory builds, doing one big auction there. So I think that inventory is about to get a little bigger, and we'll be able to deal with that. But what Sarah's doing for each of these, regardless of how we would sell it, is she's putting together a file with all of the property information, creating a marketing sheet, like you'll see one example in your packet, with aerial photos, photos of the property if possible, contact information for where to go. So even if we're going to save something for auction, if somebody wants to make an offer next week, we can go ahead and entertain that. So that will go on the website. She has, it'll also be put out in other ways. We had a conference call with Donny on Friday. We talked about the various options for how to dispose of property. All of those include a bid process, with the exception of if you had a piece of property and were working through an economic development incentive, most of these properties that wouldn't apply to. So no matter how you do it, there has to be that 10-day upset period and the chance for people to make sure that we're selling things for the most we can sell them for. So process would be similar for most of these bigger buildings. What we went through on the jail. The only issue is how do you get the information out there to enough people? So properties that have been discussed, the Rock Building being one of them, we have a meeting, working on a meeting with Preservation NC. They know people who sort of do this for a living, and who know how to use the historic tax credits to their advantage. And we're trying to get that done within the next week or so, so that they can do that. We're also going to take down some of the second-story boards on the windows there on the front for better pictures, that sort of thing. Try to get that building out there, and really try to push these out. You have the option of listing property with a realtor. I think for these larger pieces, it would be better to see what we can get without a realtor, because we're still going to have to go through that process. And I think there will be some interest. As you know, it's a slow, the jail was that took 4 or 5 months after the first bid was accepted before the final upset came in. There's potential for that, and we hope that happens on each of these properties. It may not. It may be that someone only one person's interested, and it may be that it takes a long time to find someone who is. But Sarah is pulling all of that together. She has made a lot of progress, and I think we'll be able to have some things on the website late this week or early next week, start pushing those. We'll have it all out there and we'll see what happens, and we may be more aggressive with pushing certain properties at a given time. Adjacent property owners for some property, we'll be sending a little letter to them saying there's property here, particularly on some of those foreclosures that are landlocked. And then there are a few properties that still require some legal work. The bottom one, just some confirmation that Mr. Laws is going to do, and the first of the bottom section, the upper shut-in property, those two require a little more work, but the rest of them are pretty much ready to go. It's just a matter of making sure the file's complete and everything's out there. So we will get started on that. I've heard of different things. Donny had an example from Yancey County. They have I think it was an old hospital there that they sold, and it took them quite a while to find an interested buyer. Yancey County is not blessed with our great location, but they did have a good steakhouse. So we never know what will happen. So that'll be the process. Let me see what else we have there. Happy to answer any questions, but this is we're ready to get it going.
When do we anticipate for us the first ones actually being listed? And
I think we can get it late this week, if not mid next week.
Okay. Can you just let us know when they hit the air?
Sure. Will do.
That'd be good.
Any other questions on that?
No.
Okay. Next item, you all had talked at your special meeting 2 weeks ago about setting a schedule for work sessions or special meetings, a consistent date every month, and there's a schedule if you wish to do that going forward. No reason to adopt this, but just something to mark your calendars. Basically, it would be the fourth Tuesday of every month, starting in November. Melanie's worked to provide the meeting room at the library in Marshall for that. She does have things booked up until then, but starting in November be available, and previously discussed having a longer retreat on December 5th, which is Monday, swearing in day. So that would be a different day of the month. And the fourth Tuesday, I think, is the day after Christmas anyway, so, or Christmas Day. So that is the plan, and we may use them. You may not, but you don't. At least we got a set date, and that makes us able to move.
Do we have a set time for the Thursday meeting?
Not yet. It's booked after 5 or 4.
5.
5
Anytime
o'clock.
at 5.
So anytime after 5, and it'd be a good idea to set that date. For now, we just book the time.
Okay.
Book the date. And if you all want another date, I think Melanie just needs some lead time because her space is pretty popular.
That was the fourth Tuesday.
Fourth Tuesday, correct.
That's great.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
The next item is more good work from Sarah Nichols, our county planner, working with Ross at Cooperative Extension and the Farmers Market in Mars Hill on the concept Sarah applied for and received a $5,000 grant from Carolina Farm Credit that will pay for the equipment necessary for the farmers market to accept EBT cards there. It will also, as part of the grant, will provide money that matches the savings, so it doubles the savings for anyone who goes there and uses their EBT card.
Oh, that's cool.
So the idea, and this is something that's been talked about for at least 5 or 6 years, trying to figure out how to get the prices more competitive with grocery stores, that sort of thing. There is no match required. It comes to us. The farmers market folks, which is their own nonprofit run by the people who operate the market, will make the purchases and come to us with the funds, and at the end we'll provide the report. but it's a good grant that can do some good things, see if it helps out there. Should be good.
And
But we
when,
do need, because it's not in our budget, even though it's a wash, that our revenues and expenses both will increase by $5,000. And to accept it, I need your authorization because it's not in your budget.
when will this go into effect?
So
Not until the spring cycle.
To the
So
spring.
we'll accept the money soon and we'll start planning, but we won't spend anything until they open back up.
Okay, right. Okay, thank you.
Are they officially closed for the season now, or are they still going?
No, they're
No, they're still there.
And they're gonna try and do a winter market too.
Are they? Okay, very good.
That's great.
Will the chair entertain a motion?
Yes.
I move that we accept this grant.
I'll second that motion. We have a motion by Commissioner Gentry for the acceptance of the grant from the Carolina Farm Credit for the use of the farmer's market. Second by Commissioner Brickman. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, likewise. Sarah, thank you.
we have some updates. Back on September 26th, the House Select Committee on Strategic Transportation Planning and Long-Term Funding Solutions met in Yancey County, and they traveled to Madison County, and we were able to host them at Mars Hill University for lunch. Representative Michelle Presnell is a member of that committee, and they're doing most of their committee work is happening in Raleigh, but they're doing a few trips. So we did a trip to the east and we did a trip to the west, and she hosted for the western trip and reached out to us and wanted to make sure that any of our issues were highlighted. So this is a study committee, or it's a select committee. There's a difference, not really. And it's made up of members, representatives from throughout the state. We had one from Dare County, a couple from Wake, Mecklenburg. The chair is from Gaston County, a former commissioner there. Very good little brief informal visit that we had, and I thank Ryan and Sarah for putting that together. But they're looking, these are people who've sort of volunteered or been put on a committee that's got to look at some things that aren't popular, honestly, about transportation issues. There have been committees like this off and on over the last 10 or 15 years because we've got a lot of roads and not enough money to keep them up or make improvements. So they're looking at how to figure out how to strategically move forward with that. The advantage of the funding formula for transportation changed in 2013. The positive of that is the I-26 connector got moved up for our region, even though it's not in our county. The negative is it's so traffic driven, as well as, it's based on traffic data very heavily, cost per mile of construction, and the ability to provide a local match. So cost per mile of construction puts the mountains at a disadvantage. The ability to provide a local match hurts the smaller rural communities with limited tax bases. So this crowd started to look at that. Transportation funding is a tough issue because there are always winners and losers. But Representative Presnell has always been very responsive, as is Senator Heiss, when we've reached out about these issues. So it's good to have them there, and we'll follow up with her about some of the specifics for how we can address that, because like I say, I-26 did well in Buncombe County, but there's not a single project in Madison County that's on the plan for the next 7 years. So, and it's common for a lot of counties our size. But the sheet for Salisbury area is prepaid. So it's because that's where the people are. It's a growing state and a changing state. The let's see. Courthouse, have a meeting tomorrow again about final quote for mini splits to get those installed. We should have enough funding. I was mistaken. I messed my notes up at some point. I thought we had only enough to the first floor. We should be very close to being able to do the whole thing based on what we're seeing. And if we're just a little short, we've got maintenance money that we could use and address that. Because we're not doing the courtroom, so you're really doing the ground floor and both ends of the second floor. And as soon as we have our lowest proposal there, we will get moving on that. We've spent $326,000 to date since January of 2013. About 60 of that was in the past year on those 3 rooms, and we've got about $82,000 remaining in what's been budgeted over the last 3 or 4 years for that. Some in-house work, just cleaning it up. Since it's been painted, it looks really good on the outside, but cobwebs, if you've noticed, have really eaten up all of the molding around the front, soffit underneath the second floor porch. So maintenance is going to be cleaning on that some. They were going to start one day this week, but court was there, so they're trying to keep the noise down. But they're going to try to get that done before the winter, keep that cleaned up. Same at the similar work at the administration building on the bypass. They've been sealing some of the cracks there, and then they're going to restripe the lot, and then they're going to try to get the awnings all painted one color along the front and clean that up and make it look better. Update, email with the sheriff today on federal inmates. They have not got the van operating yet for the additional inmates, but they've already picked up 4 additional $60 a day federal inmates from Greene County. So that's good considering we're not even fully going on that. Good move there. And just budget, and Darlene will have your budget report, but I just look through as we get through 1 quarter, that's the first time you can really tell anything unless it's really bad, and we haven't had a problem yet, so that's good. But as we get into the first quarter, our year-to-date revenues are up from last year by $489,974. That was as of 9/30. Our overall expenses are also up $401,975. So expenses not up as much as revenues, and both are running below projected. We should be at 25% if we were absolutely on target. Our revenues are at 18.84%. Last year at this time, they were at 17.14%. We collect the vast majority of our money midway through the fiscal year during tax season. Our expenses are at 21.88%. Last year they were 20.66%. So we're spending a little more, but we're still well below the 25% when you look at the $27 million budget. So we're off to a good start, and hopefully these things will continue and get even better. One thing I noticed last year, I could look through every line of the budget, and as we get through 1 quarter, Darlene will now go through and we'll look at each line and determine where we can pull something out. So we talked about the contingency fund. As we have lapsed salaries or things we know we're not going to spend, we're now going to be able to start to say, let's pull that and put it back in contingency. No point in doing that until you've gone through a quarter. So by the November meeting, hopefully we'll have a budget amendment that will start to address some of those things. I want to emphasize, and I just said, I think contingency fund, again, that's really a bad term. It's contingency. It's a contingency line in our budget. And I want to make clear to everyone, you have your contingency, which is what you put in your budget every year for unanticipated expenses. So just like with your personal budget, if you're looking at a month, you might put in a certain amount for unexpected something. So that's what your contingency is. We also have fund balance, which is our savings. And we have $5 million sitting there, but a lot of that is 4042 funds and other restrictions for payments. So when you take all those things out, the year-end estimate plus the sale of the jail at the end in July, or August, you have $2,302,000 in fund balance. Of that $2,302,000, the statute requires that 8% be reserved, because that's basically 1 month's operating expenses, make sure payroll is covered, that sort of thing. So that minimum is $1,820,000, which leaves the amount above that that you actually have that you could appropriate at $482,309, much more than the $20,000 after your budget amendment or so that you'll have in contingency. But there is some money there. However, you could have a surprise issue come up there. But I just want to make, sometimes we get those two things confused. There's what you have for the long term, there's what you have for the current. The contingency balance, you'll see that in your program, but after the things that have been done, Darlene and I think the sheriff were able to find a little money in insurance savings in his budget to reduce what had to be taken from there. So you've got a remaining balance in contingency of $17,240. And like I say, we'll hopefully add back. So that's all the boring budget information that I have right now. Do you all have any questions?
Forrest, the courthouse renovations, do we have a future plan as far as what we're going to do next?
We have talked before. I think the thought is looking at the architect's sort of guide that they did, which didn't have any detail, but sort of showed some broad estimates. We had talked in the past about finishing the rooms that are there and then looking at, and the next thing was taking care of the mini splits. And then the third thing was taking care of accessible modern restrooms on the first floor.
Yes.
And then the fourth thing, I think, was a second exit somewhere there, which might coincide with the restrooms. It's probably going to be in the same area. Now, those restrooms will probably take up the area, and we'll talk to Mark about that, will take up part of his office and part of the office next to his. You still want to have the offices on the front that need renovation, and what we think we can do pretty well is have our folks go in there, take out the paneling and the partitions that aren't needed anymore, take out the counters, carpet, and do most of that work. Patch the plaster, paint it up, refinish the floors. The floors are the big unknown. If we uncover that, we may find there has to be a lot of replacement work done there. But we can do a lot of that in-house without, one of the most costly things before, which is great if you're restoring something historically, is all the plaster was just, those rooms were completely gutted, which is good if you're redoing the place where George Washington did something at Colonial Williamsburg and you have the money and people to do it. But it's tough for a county our size to be able to do that whole building that way. So the trade-off is we might have some exposed conduit and things like that, but it'll be limited compared to the wires that are hanging everywhere. Talked with Alan one day this week, the trim that's in the hallways, he can start taking that down piece by piece. It cools off and they can refinish that from the shop. And so you're going to see the hallway work, the paint, all those things, the cosmetic work.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. I wasn't at the work session of the day. At the time that it was discussed about the possibility of furniture going in there. I got there late after that, and I apologize. I again working out of town, and due to traffic, I was a little late. But as far as the furniture, where are we at on that? Is that a table discussion or?
Basic, I mean, that seemed to be where it went, and you all can, you've got options on moving the furniture that's there, seeking donated furniture or purchasing furniture, or a mix of those three, and just ballpark ideas. So we want them, if they're going to purchase something, clerk staff would pick that. But just ballpark, you can go from your desk. My desk costs $400, and you can go all the way up to $3,000 per desk. So there's some in betweens there, and it depends on how you all want to proceed. There's also the opportunity for, on the shelving, particularly now they're gonna have some shelves in there. Our inmates can build really nice shelving. There's a table sitting in the office. Mark's moving in, the inmates built. It looks very good. There's a table in the hallway or in the little place going into the finance office in our building that was refinished by inmates. And I've talked with Corrections Enterprises, which is the Department of Corrections program, where inmates build things in Raleigh or various places. And they're happy. Like, for example, there's something they're going to be able to do because they sent me pictures of what they did in Davidson County. They rebuilt all their bed pews in their courtroom. So those are the options. You all, if you prefer one or the other, just direct it. We'll do it.
I went down there and looked at it and looked at the 3 rooms other and spent quite a bit of time down there. And it's amazing what it turned out to be and how good it looks. And then I walk into the other 2 offices and I see what we have, and we're going to take that out and put that in there. It's a little disheartening because you have such a fine looking office and it looks so good, and then you're going to put something in it that don't look that good. It's going to take away from what we've spent this money on doing, and it concerns me.
Well, not to step on anybody's toes, I had a long conversation with Mark Cody about it yesterday. And Mark has agreed at this point, just to allow Commissioner Briggs to take a look. Commissioner Briggs has sent some feelers out through some of his previous contacts from when he was a clerk of court, and trying to find some surplus furniture, or I guess, is that the right term for it, Bill? Surplus furniture.
Right.
And so Mark is okay with, as long as it doesn't go on indefinitely, for a period of time, at least a few weeks or so, have an opportunity to put out some feelers and see what we can find at a discounted price versus buying something brand new off the shelf that may not actually be as good a quality if you start getting into the press board stuff.
So you're talking about buying something used,
possibly overstocks or used, or
do you want to put that in
scratch it in?
Well, you gotta look at it, if it's pretty and looks good and it's real wood, what's wrong with it,
Yeah.
If you wanna go out and spend a bunch of money, you need to take your time on this and not get in a big rush about things. I mean, that's my opinion.
No, I'm not talking about going out tomorrow and
We can
just buying
we can
something.
spend all the money we got in the county on something.
Yeah,
But you have to take time, and time makes a difference,
At this point, I don't know that putting it in motion would be appropriate because we really don't know what it's going to take to get them what they need. Mark actually, give credit where credit's due. Mark actually had come up with the idea of having the inmates build bookshelves based on some of the other furniture that they had built.
Yeah.
And so, if you get into something like that, you might only have, $150 or so in a bookshelf that if you went and bought it at a furniture store, you probably would have $800 in that bookshelf. And they need at least 3. So,
And then 1 matches and 2 don't. Then you get into, you're right back where we are now.
right. Well, if they're all 3 made at the same place, you would think they would match.
Well, that's a chance you take.
Well, one thing I would say is, we all know the courthouse. It belongs to all the taxpayers of Madison County. Folks, we can't afford to build a justice center until the jail is paid off. And assuming everything happens perfectly in line, it'll take 14 to 15 years to pay the jail off. Unless you have 5 commissioners who are willing to put a significant tax increase on the citizens of the county. So the work we have done down there in those 3 rooms, I've been down there and went through it, and I think it was really, really nice. So I think when we built the new jail, I don't think we carried used furniture up there to fix that or to put in the jail. So I think we would be remiss if we don't put quality furniture, and it's more than just furniture. It's more than just a desk. If you walk into a business office and you look and see what is there, there's more than a desk there. You got to have a place to put your computer. You know, you have these L-shaped desks. You have the horseshoe-shaped desk. You know, you got to have some place if you have visitors, which everyone does, a place for them to sit. We got windows in most all the offices. We got to figure out how we're going to cover those windows up. So that costs money. So I just think we need to be smart about what we do. I don't think we need to, certainly don't need to waste any money. I'm not a fan of that, but I'm not a fan. I've owned all kinds of office furniture in my life. I've owned everything from a pasteboard box to some fairly nice stuff for my budget. And fairly nice stuff is, for my budget, is certainly not what some of the companies around Asheville and other places might have. I'm not talking about the company I used to work for. We bought all of our desks from Steelcase. Very nice desk. Very nice desk. Quality desk that will outlive most of us in this room. We probably can't afford that. But we don't need to go to Walmart and get a blue light special off the back of the truck that Joe's standing back there helping us load. And before we get it home, it's already falling apart. I would just caution the board to be careful as to how we proceed with that. And y'all know my thoughts. Y'all probably, if you didn't read them in the paper, I'm just as strong on that tonight as I was then. You don't put old springs in new tennis shoes. That's simple.
Any more discussion?
Well, I think we also, as you mentioned about the window treatments, we do not need to underestimate the cost. Privacy is a required issue in those offices, and they're very large windows, which will probably require custom blinds of some sort, yet to be determined. Okay, but the window treatments will also be a required specific investment to provide for the security and for the privacy of those offices. And again, from the work session, I think that we all too often, in a very, very good habit of being prudent, and this entire group is very prudent with the taxpayers' money, but there are also investments that we make. And we are investing in that courthouse and doing an excellent job. It's taking us a long time to get there, but the work's being done is of a good quality. And there is important, however, to complete a project. We are standing at the point of what we do. If we go back in there with less than furniture that is appropriate and is adequate and is selected by the clerk's office to meet their needs, I don't think we're completing the job. And as I also said, it was quoted correctly, thank you, Paul, in the paper, I never suggested that we spend more money than was necessary, but I do think we need to invest. And I would not be opposed to coming up with a parameter for that we would invest adequate funds in new furniture and required window treatments for security, and that's appropriate to be determined by the clerk's staff, but with a budget limit.
Well, with that said, I would make the motion that we put a $5,000 amount for each room. The 3 rooms that we have completed and the 2 rooms that are to be completed, put a $5,000 fixture amount on those for furniture, desks, tables, filing cabinets, window coverings, whatever may be needed on the renovation for the courthouse.
And you're referring to a cap per room?
Yes.
You need to work on the agenda that wasn't on the agenda. You want to redo the agenda to put that in there?
Mr. Attorney, can we discuss, with it being in his discussion for
I think
courthouse
if
renovation?
you're gonna take action and move things on your budget, it would require a budget amendment.
Okay.
Of course, you can amend your budget, you can amend the agenda, but it would require motion, it would require being passed.
Okay.
One issue is the sound system
Yes.
in the courtroom it picks up the radio, and we had that system rewired last year, and it helped for a long time, and now it's reemerged as a problem. So that's another thing we're going to have to deal with fairly soon. We're trying something here in the next week or so, getting some quotes on doing some more wiring issues, but that's a very important thing that we need to fix. The shades, because I think shades look better than blinds, but
Well, blinds, shades.
whatever,
yeah,
whatever we can do, but the shades would look really good. That's something that had been thought of. And I've sort of looked at all of it as there was 100,000, there's been this much appropriated for the renovations and all that. I kind of look at it together, and we got 82 left, and we're gonna probably have to add some to the mini splits, just a little bit.
I will rescind my motion.
And definitely on the communications in the courtroom, as I recall, that's been an ongoing issue for what, a decade maybe?
I think so.
For the local radio station, not WART, the regular radio station, for whatever its reasons, occasionally broadcast in the courtroom. And definitely whatever you need to do to.
Some of those inmates could use a little religion.
Well,
Gospel music in the courtroom.
they might not be the issue. It might well be the judge and the attorneys
No, I
and even
understand.
the clerk.
I
But
understand.
certainly for us, whatever you need to do to address that, it's not a subject of really what this guy.
And as Darlene goes through this first quarter report, we may see that it's a much easier decision one way or the other.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we amend the agenda to include a discussion on the furniture issue for the courthouse.
Okay. I have a motion to amend the agenda for the discussion of furniture and pictures for the courthouse.
I'll second that motion.
And I have a second by Commissioner Gentry on that motion. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, likewise. Okay, motion passes. The agenda has been amended. At this time, I will make the motion.
I'd like to say one thing
Yes.
before we get into that. It's amazing to me that you wait to the meetings to bring up these things. Why didn't you have it on the agenda if that's what you wanted to do and not wait till the meeting? And then spring is out on us all of a sudden.
This was discussed at our work session the other day.
It was, but it's.
Yeah, it was. It was discussed in depth.
Well, it wasn't. in
It's not
depth.
something
It
that,
wasn't in depth. We talked about it briefly, and we didn't make any decisions, of course. But why didn't you put it on the agenda? You know it's going to pass. Whatever you want to do is going to happen. But at least you could do is put it on the agenda.
the motion was made to amend the agenda, so that's what we did, sir.
Okay, that's go ahead. And it's just the way things work. It's fine. I don't care.
Well, I'd just like to say that, let's, we got 3Ds sitting up here in 2 hours. I just want to say publicly right now, it doesn't matter to me how many Republicans are here or how many Democrats are here. It's a matter of doing what is the right thing.
That's your
And it
opinion.
wouldn't matter to me, it wouldn't matter to me, Bill, if you were still down there and you were the clerk of court, I would be just as much in favor of doing what I have suggested tonight as I am, because we have Mark Cody down there.
Well, that's
It doesn't
not-
have anything to do with politics.
Well,
It's it's doing what is the right thing.
It doesn't matter to me about the politics. I want good stuff too down there.
Well, let's
He's
do
down.
I
that.
kind of resent the implication that we are against Mark Cody. We're not against Mark
No.
Cody.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah,
didn't imply that at all. No,
I just want to make sure that wasn't implied because it
No.
There's a mo-
kind of sounded like it.
No,
That's what
Let's
you
keep this in
implicated.
order, please.
No.
Order. Let's that we'll have a discussion one at a time, please.
Thank you.
Yes.
My only argument would be, I just don't understand the concept of setting a budget when the clerk of court and his folks haven't even told us what they need or want at this point. Now, the flip side of that, or in addition to that, I should say, is if you're going somewhere, say you want a new TV to watch the Super Bowl on, and you go and you price a TV at Best Buy, and Sam's Club has the same TV for $400 less, where are you going to buy the TV at?
It depends. There's a lot of.
You're going to pay $400 more for a TV just because you want to do business with Best Buy.
That could be a possibility.
And I've got nothing against Best Buy, just for the record. I mean,
yeah, not cheap is not always better.
It's the same TV, brother.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
You can't. You don't know that for sure.
Okay.
But we didn't say we were going to spend $5,000.
We didn't say we were spending $5,000. My motion was that be an amount per room. And I have discussed with Mark Cody this. He thinks it can be done for half that or less. So, we have, just like everything else, you have to have an amount in order to be able to go to proceed with it. And that's the amount that I feel comfortable with. And I know it'll be done. I trust that it'll be done cheaper. But if something happens and it's not, then we know that's the amount of money that we're going to pay. And not over that.
If this were any other department, would we not ask them to bring us what they need before we give them a pot full of money to spend?
I discussed with the clerk. We discussed what was needed. I did what I thought would look good in there, and I think $5,000 is a good amount. What does the board think?
I think it's a top end figure. I don't think we'll spend that much.
No. I know when I give my wife a $5,000 budget, she spends $5,000. She doesn't spend $2,500. So, and I love my wife dearly. But if
my wife's sick.
Well, in my house, my wife gives me the budget. Of course, a little different at my house.
I'm not going to get into this.
Are you staying neutral?
I'm staying neutral.
Okay, all right. Well, I will make that my motion as before, that be the amount set for each room, and for the two other rooms to be completed. When they are completed, that be the amount for that. $5,000, not to exceed the amount of $5,000 per room for the existing 3 rooms and the other 2 rooms for the clerk of court's use, not counting any other construction in the courthouse.
So is that 25,000?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's doable. I don't know how. Where would the money come from?
It will come from the general fund.
Just now.
That would not be 25 now.
That's what he said. He said 3,000.
And that's why I think that.
Excuse me?
25 is the number.
Yes.
But that would be for all 5 rooms.
That's all 5
Not just the
rooms.
3 rooms that
That's
we're
all
currently
5 rooms.
talking about. So
Yes.
that would include future,
Yes, that's the
Rooms.
other 2 rooms
but
also.
yet to be renovated.
That's correct.
Okay. So $15,000 at the moment, but with taking into consideration when the other 2 rooms are finished.
Yes,
I just want to make sure I have it understood.
that is correct.
Okay.
And that's to prevent us coming back and having to have this discussion again.
I will second that motion.
And my motion, as heard, was the $5,000 for the fixtures at the courthouse for each room. Those being the 3 that are completed now, the 2 for the future completion. Second by Commissioner Rice. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, likewise. Okay. No, sir. Thank you for. Darlene?
financial report for the month of September. And of course, discussed some of the numbers earlier, but I want to bring attention to, if you will look at the tax interest for this time period versus last year, we brought in $40,277 more dollars. That's, that shows that we are collecting back taxes, because that's money that specifically is tied to back taxes. The current year taxes are up $436,000 over the previous year. And the sales tax, the new sales tax that went into effect, we got our first payment of it, and it's $1,961.
Are those two columns transposed, Darlene? The sales tax column, it's showing,
No, that's again because of the accruals.
okay, so the 297,
Is what we received for the whole month of June, but you have to accrue the part that, except for the 61,000, have to accrue the other part back to last year, because it is
Okay.
June sales tax.
I got you.
This report won't look funny after this month.
Okay, so the 961
Mhm.
is the true year-to-date number.
That is the
Right.
true year-to-date number that we did count for this year. Don't have to accrue that, because that is new money that was effective for July.
Thank you.
If you look in your bank balances, our general fund looks smaller than normal, but that's because I've done a requisition for the monies for the school construction.
Right.
$474,000, so that will be back into your bank account next week.
That's good.
That money comes out of the general fund, and then I requisition BB&T to give it back.
Okay.
Some of the expenditures, I mean, the expenditures are up, but like Ford said, we are still below. Some of the bigger ones are in like purchase of care for daycare. Schools is our education of about 100,000, so those are accounts for those differences.
100,000 on education,
Yeah,
Donny?
it's up about 100,000,
Okay.
a little more. That's just some of the big ones. Does anybody have any questions for me on that? Okay, then we turn to budget amendment number 2. And part of that deals with the home grants that Chris spoke about earlier, the 2016 grant. Then your school current expense, that's moving the lines from grant up to current expense. The money for the fairgrounds was approved at last month's meeting. The vehicle for the sheriff's department, discussed at the 29th, the September 29th meeting, and the literacy program also for the jail.
Yes.
Does anyone have any questions on that?
Any more discussion for Darlene on budget amendment 2? No? Do I hear a motion to approve budget amendment 2?
So moved.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Gentry for the approval of the budget amendment 2, second by Commissioner Rice. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay. All those opposed, likewise.
The next item I have is the September property releases and refunds from the tax supervisor's office.
As much as that. Okay. Any questions or discussion for the property releases for Darlene? Do I hear a motion to approve the property tax releases and refunds for the month of September? Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Rice for the approval of the property tax releases and refunds. Commissioner Gentry. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, likewise. Okay.
The next item is the board vacancies for October. And we have a vacancy on the Board of Health. You have in your packet a letter from Janet Adams Crow resigning, I think due to her work schedule. Also have an application from Hannah Wallen Harding, who has agreed to serve on that board if you don't choose to
She's an employee Hot Springs Health Program.
All right, we will, at this time, I will open the floor for nominations for the Board of Health vacancy.
I would nominate Hannah Wallen Hardin for the Board of Health Pharmacy vacancy.
Okay. Any more nominations? No? At this time, I will close the floor for nominations for the Board of Health. Okay. We have one person nominated.
Well, I move for Hannah Wallen Hardin to fill that position.
Okay. We have a motion for Hannah Wallen Harding for the Board of Health pharmacist vacancy. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, likewise. Okay. Thank you.
The next item is a resolution establishing a regular monthly meeting of the Board of Commissioners. We needed to change the November meeting because that meeting would have been held on election day.
Yep.
So that made us have to do this resolution.
Right.
And the meeting should, it's been set for the 10th of November.
Okay.
And then we'll go back to our regular schedule.
Right.
Okay.
But I need this resolution approved.
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion that the resolution be approved.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion for the resolution for our regular monthly meetings, second by Commissioner Wechtel. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passed. Okay.
The next item is the Big Pine Volunteer Fire Department has submitted 4 names to you for appointment to their Board of Trustees. They need two people named.
They are, these 4 are on
At the
there.
bottom, yes.
Yeah, but they're on there now.
No,
No.
well, I'm not sure who is on there, but they do need 2 people named.
Okay.
I'm not sure who.
So they gave us 4 names.
They gave you 4 names to choose from, and I don't think they have any preferences.
Okay.
Talking to Mr. Stiles, they might. I have seen 2 of the names on their reports before. So I know they've served in some capacity, but I don't know if they were the appointments made by the Board of Commissioners.
Mr. Tony, in a situation like this, they've provided us with 4 names. There's 2 positions.
Well, apparently they don't want to recommend those 4, so they're leaving it up to you folks.
Exactly.
No, I don't think they have any problem with any of these. They just were helping you all get names.
Well, typically with the Board of Elections, when you submit a list, it's the top 2 that
That's
you
right.
submit that are the ones that are considered, so.
Yeah.
And those are the 2 names that I've seen on that.
Yeah.
You know, that have worked on that board before. I just don't know what position they held.
Well,
And really, this is the county's board to oversee things for the county.
Mhm.
So
Right.
that's probably what they're thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, you can choose these or you can choose someone else in that community. That would be good.
Well, if I read this right, the top 2 are the president currently of that fire department and the vice president of that fire department, right? So 2 ranking officers,
Yes.
which would be the reasonable people that move forward to the county committee. Yeah. I'll be happy to move that Mike Cherry and Lee Poor be approved from Representatives Big Pine Volunteer Fire Department.
I'll second. Any more discussion? No. We have a motion on the floor for the Mike Cherry and Lee Poor to be the Big Pine Volunteer Fire Department trustee members. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, likewise.
And the next one, I apologize for not having it on the agenda, but we just received it, and it's important that this gets done tonight because they are not allowed to apply for the fireman's relief fund until this is done, and that report has to be filed October 31st. So this is from the Spring Creek Fire Department, and they are needing someone to replace Sherry Nadoff, who resigned on the Board of Trustees, and they've submitted a name.
Any discussion?
Chairman, I'll make a motion that we go with their request of approving Sarah Stavish to the Spring Creek Volunteer Fire Department's Fireman Relief Fund Board.
Okay. All right. I have a motion for the placement of Miss Suri Stavage to replace her on that board. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a second by Commissioner Gentry. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, likewise. Okay.
You see why I said they provided a name?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, sorry.
At this time, I make a motion that we go into closed session. That's 143-318.11, closed session for personnel, attorney-client privilege, property, and economic development. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a motion for closed session, second by Commissioner Rice. All those in favor, raise your right hand. We are in closed session.
It's 9 o'clock. We will return before breakfast. Maybe.
Yeah, we won't. We won't.
Famous words. There's actually in the